Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. It's Monday night. My name's Phil. It's 7:30. Every Monday we are here live for you to debate Leicester City. How things change in a week, eh? What a week it has been at Leicester. Every week we chat about the latest things. You can have your say. So much to talk about this evening. So get your views in and get your comments in. We'll get as many as we can on screen. Wolves 0, Leicester 4. Do you know what? Jono came on yesterday. We did the aftermath show in the morning, the match preview, and Jono said 4-0. Sean said 4-0. We all laughed, but there it was. So, are we all Rodgers in again now? It's like the Okie Kokie. It's the Rodgers Kokie. Are you in? Are you out? Want to know what your views are? You can still be out. You can still be in. It doesn't matter. Let's just have a chat about it. I want to know, what was the best goal in the last two games? Leeds, there was a couple of good goals. Wolves, there was a couple of good goals. Which was the best goal and why? So that's something we can have a little chat about. Obviously, then we can talk about Leicester versus Alfie Haaland, which is on Saturday at 12:30. We'll all be looking forward to that. And I also want to know, next three games, how many points do you think we're going to get from those? So get your views in, get your comments in, and join us for the next 28 minutes worth of fun right here on Leicester Fan TV.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Are you ready for the show? Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. We want your views, we want your comments, so join us live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So, Rodgers in, Rodgers out. Where do you stand? Let's get your views in. Let's get your comments in. Has it all changed? Because we've had a couple of wins. Derek says, I'm still Rodgers out. Keep in for the rest of the season. Will almost certainly seem a relegation for us. I'm not. Well, your views, your comments, get them in. Karen says, still Rodgers out. When he started to accuse everyone, change everything, get him out. She's not having it. Karen's not having it. Ross is saying Sean deserves a knighthood. He got the Forest score right and now Wolves score. We need his prediction right now for the Man City game, because whatever he says will come good. Neil, good evening to you. Gav is still Rodgers out. Keith saying, hope you all, except Reedy, enjoyed your slice of humble pie today. Keith, listen, this is the debate. This is the big debate. I'm going to say the same thing again. One swallow doesn't make a summer. I'll look at the big picture over many, many months of what's been going on at Leicester. And we've got Man City, we've got West Ham, and we've got brain freeze as to the other one. Somebody tell me who else we've got. I know. West Ham. Everton. There we go. I know it's in there somewhere. LCFC Gray says something has changed dramatically, but I'm not sure what. Maddison was the best goal, the way he created the space and finished. No Tint, I mean, it just makes you laugh by his name. No Tint says, can't believe the Tinters are bragging so much. We've beat 3 teams that are going down. I do agree with what you're saying. Listen, Forest were very poor. I know they beat Liverpool, but they were poor that day. Palace, when we played Palace, listen, it wasn't me who said they were poor. It was Patrick Vieira who said they were poor against us. Leeds looked woeful. Wolves, boy, oh boy, they look in trouble. So I hear what you're saying. Bazza says, was never a Rodgers out. I like all this. There's all this turning around. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. So when we ran a poll, Bazza, and 94% of fans said, I want Rodgers out, you were that 6%. Fair enough, he says. Patrick says, Wolves had 21 attempts on goal yesterday. Do that on Saturday and it will be a cricket score. Not many were actually on target, though, Patrick. I don't think were in there. Wayne, good evening to you. Peter says, credit to Brendan and the team. Pratt must start from now on. Well, he didn't start yesterday, did he? But he played quite well. Terry's saying maybe it is the set piece coach has had an impact. Terry, I tell you what, we've kept clean sheets at least. And again, I was banging on about Danny Ward not being good enough. I'm going to stand by that. I don't care. I think Danny Ward isn't still good enough, but I'm pleased to be proved wrong. I'm pleased that we've had clean sheets, but Wolves, Forest, Leeds, poor sides. Wolves have only scored 4 goals all season or something. So Ross says the game yesterday was like a game of FIFA, 5 shots, 4 goals, and Wolves had 21 shots. But again, Ross, how many of those were on target? Matthew says Rodgers for Prime Minister. They could be. Matt, I'll tell you, it could be you for the next one. Aggie says here, I'm hoping he's turned it around. Yes, we've beaten some poor sides, but you can only beat what's put in front of you. Keep those views, keep those comments coming in. Good news for me and good news for you tonight. We are joined by Tom and Simon, both big friends and pals and content creators, part of Leicester Fan TV. Let's start with Simon. It's lovely to have you back on, Simon, and see your beautiful face on
Thanks
air.
for having me back,
How are
Phil.
you doing?
Appreciated. I'm well, mate. You?
Yeah, very, very good. So, Simon, we've not had your comments on for a little while. So, be honest, were you Rodgers in? Were you Rodgers out? And what's your take on it tonight?
I was Rodgers out in the end. It took a while, if I'm being honest. But those two big defeats against Spurs and Brighton did it for me. That it looked like we were a lost cause, if I'm honest with you. It looked like we weren't. He'd lost the dressing room. The players were bickering amongst themselves on the pitch. It all went to pieces. And it looked really, if we're being honest, like the only thing that was stopping him from leaving the club was the owners and the people that run the club. But maybe they were right and we were wrong. Maybe they knew something we didn't. Maybe they could see something going on at the club that we can't see as outsiders just watching the games, and they could see that he'd turn it round, because it certainly looks on the last 3 games like he has just done that, and they look like a different side.
Thanks, Simon. Tom, again, we were chatting yesterday in the preview show in the aftermath that Jamie, I hope Jamie's getting better, by the way. I think, Tom, you've been out. Are you changing your mind? Where are you? What's your latest in, out, shake it all about in the Rodgers okie dokie?
I'm still out. I'm not going to get carried away after 1 win or 3 wins in 4, whatever we're going to get against, Forest, Leeds and Wolves yesterday. Let's not get carried away with it. I put on Twitter yesterday and I'll eat humble pie, when credit's due, and Rodgers, for me, got things right yesterday. First time in a long time I've said that. Tactically, we looked good at times. I felt after the half time, there was 2 points in the game what changed for me. One was the block by James Justin just before half time off Diego Costa, because if that hits the back of the net, it's a completely different ball game going into half time with the 2 different teams. One is getting a lift and the other one in Leicester once again feel like things can crumble. It didn't go in, what was massive. And then the other turning point was just after half time. We had about 15 minutes where we were getting battered. Let's not lie, but they had the ball. They were moving it around. They weren't getting many on target, but they were the one causing problems. Fair play to Rodgers. He made the changes and he made the correct changes. And this is the first time in a long time I'll say fair play to him. He brought off Daka. Daka had no impact in the second half. He brought off, who else did he bring up at that point? He brought off Simari. Simari wasn't winning any of the ball in the second half and brought on Mendy. He brought on Vardy. He brought on Pratt. Those were the changes that needed to happen. And he did it. And they changed the game. It changed the flow of the game. Dennis Pratt, especially on that right-hand side where they were starting to get a bit of joy down the left, he stopped it. It stopped the game completely. And for me, you have to give credit to Rodgers. Has it changed my opinion? Not yet. There's a long way to go. But as I've said, nothing would make me more happier to see Brendan Rodgers turn the situation around and get the fans back on side. He's never going to win all the fans, but he could win the majority of the fans back if we keep winning football matches, keep climbing the table, keep the performance levels up, finish somewhere respectable this year, and then has a good transfer window. Of course, he could win fans back around. But like you said, one performance against a team who'd had scored 3 goals, 4 goals all season. One against a Leeds side that again lost 3-2 to Fulham yesterday. And a win against a Forest side. Look, let's not get carried away. They beat Liverpool, but if Virgil van Dijk had had his shooting boots on, then they wouldn't have won that game. It's quite simple. He had enough wanted to score a hat-trick. So I'm not carried away at all, mate. It's one of those. As I said before, nothing makes me more happier than Leicester winning. I don't care about Brendan being in charge or not in charge. When we're playing a game of football, the only thing that matters to me is winning football matches. I'm pulling ourselves away from the bottom.
Yeah, as Jordan says here, Wout Fez is a brick wall. And a few other comments. Again, Carlos says here, Fez is amazing. Simon, it does feel like we could pin some of the difference to him coming in at centre-back, potentially. I do quite like the look of what I'm seeing there. And again, I feel like, well, at times I felt he looks as steady as Fofana at the back there. And actually, maybe we've just found another little gem there, Simon. What's your take on Wout Faze?
Yeah, I suppose you could take, excuse me, the extreme opinion that maybe we've actually sold a defender for an absolute fortune, and we've brought Wout Faes in, and it looks like we've got a similar quality player, if not better, for a lot less money. I mean, there's no doubt there's a correlation between the clean sheets we've been keeping lately, the defensive organisation. The guy is clearly a leader. You can see that the way he's talking to the rest of the back four, and he's organising. He's not scared to make a challenge, and there can't be any doubt that there is an absolute correlation between him making his way into the team, bedding himself in, getting up to kind of Premier League match sharpness, and our results. I mean, the other thing I'd say to that is that the other correlation, especially in recent results, is Armitage coming in and Evans obviously being out injured. Those two, I have to say, as a back two in the centre of defence, look solid. And they've been all right. We've had a few mistakes in those games we've won, but we've kept clean sheets, and they look a lot more organised and a lot more up for the fight now with Faes and Armitage, I have to say, in the back four than we did at the start of the season.
Yeah, Tom, it's been an interesting one because obviously a lot of fans are big fans of Johnny Evans. He seems to be, as age creeps up with him a little bit. Like Simon's just said there, that correlations there, and Daniel Amati has got plenty of mistakes in him. We all see that week in, week out. But Wout Faes seems like he could have been bringing perhaps a bit of the missing jigsaw, Tom.
Firstly, Daniel Amati is a confidence player. You give him confidence by playing regular first-team football, and we saw that. When you give him a run of games, he starts to build that confidence up in him, and you feel a bit more comfortable watching him. You know, the Palace game where he got chucked in, was it the first 10 minutes, there were two massive mistakes, and you're going, oh, here we go again. But over the last few games, his confidence is starting to get there now. His ball touch, his control, his movement, he's reading the play a lot better than he was after that first game. And Faes next to him has been an incredible signing. Let's not get it wrong. He looks like a leader. He looks like someone who's quite happy to grab the lads around him and drag them up from the back and help to defend properly. I also think the new defence coach is having a big impact on this back line and our set piece. You know, you don't bring someone in just to be a set piece expert. You're bringing someone in to shore up that defence. We look better as a team defending at the moment, and I think that's also why we're getting the clean sheets, because as a team we are more difficult to break down at times. There is times where we still look a little bit open, let's not get it wrong, but we're looking better, and Faes is a massive impact on that. As for Johnny Evans, look, I love Johnny Evans, I think he's a cracking player, but sometimes, like you say, players get older. He's picking up a lot of niggly injuries at the moment, and then he has 4 or 5 games, you think, oh, he's back to his fitness, he's starting to show again, and then he gets another injury. So it's one of those, you've got to start thinking, where's the next person? Who's that next person to take over the Johnny Evans? At the moment, Faes is completely doing that.
I'm going to ask the guys what they think was the best goal out of the Leeds 2 and the Wolves 4. So get ready for that, Simon first and then Tom. And I want you guys watching as well to let me know which goal was the best and why. It's bloody nice to be talking about something positive for the first time in about what feels like 3 or 4 months. So it is nice. Jordan says Amati leaves his player way too often. Aggie says football is all about confidence. I remember we used to have, obviously, bless him, Alan Young on a lot with us, certainly with me and Simon, and he used to say all the time, football is about confidence. You can't buy confidence, which is why it was lovely to see Jamie Vardy score a goal on Saturday, because I think that's what he'll be doing. Andy says, what has Yaya Toure been doing for 3 years, or Kolo Toure? I'll get confused. Forgive me. Wout Faes looks like a great signing in there, says Dave. Andrew says Sumari is still a weak link. I'm with you on Andrew. I prefer Mendy in there myself. Yuri against Wolves. Patrick is saying about his best goal there. So let's start that debate now and get your views in, your comments in. Simon, I want to know, I'm going to start you off here, Simon. I think the best goal was the goal against Leeds was Barnes, because that was a team goal. Lovely play down the wing. Vardy does a cheeky little back heel. There was about 5 or 6, 7 Leicester touches in it before we scored. I know Yuri scored a screamer yesterday, and there was a couple of other ones. Which was the best goal out the last 2 games for you, and why?
I'm going to go for the obvious one. I'm sorry, Tom. I'll go for a Tielemans goal yesterday. I thought the technique in that was outstanding. The ball came to him off a deflection from the Madison free kick, and he didn't get much chance to adjust, and he hit that so sweet into the corner. That is absolute top top class, world class player, skill and technique. So for me, that one of the two games.
So we're already disagreeing because I'm going for the team goal that was the one against Leeds. Tom, what's your take on it and why?
That's such a tricky one to call. Let's not get about it. Tielemans' goal was an absolute peach of a goal. It happens once in a blue moon. He scored against, roughly this time last year, against Brentford. Same kind of thing comes out to him, technique-wise, head over the ball, spinks in. I think for me, though, as a fan, I get more pleasure, and I think Brendan would get more pleasure from seeing the team goal, the passing, the movement, moving teams around the park. And the goal against Leeds for me, and I said it at the time, and Alan Shearer said, "What a beautiful goal! What a magnificent goal," as he described it, because it was that intricate play around the penalty area. We sort of did it in the first goal for the own goal. Vardy picks it up, Matt goes to dribble after the foul, we play it in and send it in for an own goal. We sort of tried it that time round. To then see Cassagna play the same ball near enough down the line, Pratt with the one inside, Vardy with a back heel, Dewsbury Hall then to pick out an assist. He got assist then, he got assist at the weekend. It's what you want to see, the numbers growing for him as well. And I just feel that goal, it really probably gave the lad a bit of confidence, because we hadn't scored many of the goals this season as a team goal. They've all been balls fell to someone that we've had a shot and he's gone in the net, like Maddison against Tottenham. Let's not get wrong, that technique, that was a goal and a half for me. That's up there with Tielemans' technique, the goal away at Tottenham, the volley and stuff. So there's some cracking goals we've seen this season, but I just think I'd take for the team and for the lift it will give the lads. The second goal against Leeds was vital in my view, and I think that's giving the lads a lot more confidence to go out and play forward. And if you listen to Rodgers yesterday, it's quite interesting to say, look, he said the first 10 minutes, we weren't playing enough footballs forward. We were playing too much side to side and backwards. We weren't doing what we'd said we were going to do. As soon as we started playing it forward, you could see the confidence lift again. And well, we saw it happen. We got 2 goals really quickly.
Let's get some views and comments and see if you agree with Tom, me, Simon on whose was the best goal. Mark saying it has to be Yuri's goal. He's agreeing with Simon. Carlos is agreeing as well, saying it's got to be Yuri's. Jordan says Tielemans' 2 keepers weren't saving that, he says in there. William says Barnes v Leeds, the team played like prime Leicester, which is, I agree with what William was saying there. It did feel like that. Matty chucked the Vardy one in there just to get him off the mark. And you could see, it made me laugh, Vardy, obviously, after he scored. Sean saying it was Yuri's. Ian saying maybe most of our players are hitting form at the same time. Hope it will get us safe for the season, but he's still Rodgers out for sure. Bazza says, thought the build-up to Madder's goal was awesome as well. Scott says, Scotch's own goal for me. That started the rival. It was a very poor own goal, if there is such a thing. I know all are bad. Andrew saying Tielemans was a thunderbolt. Richie says Tielemans. Bazza says Madders versus Wolves, which was another great team build up. Carlos saying, I like the team goal the other day, very slick as well. Ross says all the goals against Wolves were amazing. Yuri's was just skill for his goal. Barnes was a great team goal. Madders was just brilliant as he outmuscles Adama, and the 4th was just great team goal. Top bins, says Jordan, as Jimmy Bullard would say. Some good goals to talk about there, Simon, which is, it's finally feels nice as a Leicester fan that we're sat here on a Monday night having a bit of a smile. We can talk about best goals. We can talk about, we got some points on the board. It does feel like maybe a cloud has lifted, Simon. Are we getting carried away too soon, though?
Not for me. And the reason I say that is because of the performances. I think when you look at the performances earlier on in the season, when we were just abjectly bad, really, if we're being honest, you could tell that the team were almost, well, not almost, they were squabbling amongst themselves. There was no togetherness. It felt like everything that Rodgers was trying to enact onto the team in terms of tactical or game plans was going out the window fairly quickly as we capitulated under almost like we were playing basketball games, where the ball was just going from one end to the other, and we couldn't keep the ball out of our own net. Just on a side note there, I think we want to bring Danny Ward into that, because I know obviously he's coming for a little bit of criticism in the early part of the season while we're talking about performance changes. And you have to give the lad credit that despite being under quite a lot of pressure for the last couple of games, he seems to have, the early part of the season, he seems to have turned that around. And he's looked really assured this last couple of games. And I don't know whether that's because he feels like the defence in front of him is a little bit more secure now and organised, so he feels a bit more protected. But ultimately, he looks like a player reborn, and it could also be something to do with the fact that he came into the start of the season and had no football because he was injured. And I thought it was a bit of a left field decision from Rodgers to put him straight in after having no football at all. And it's almost like it's taken him a few games to get match fit. But all in all, the answer to your question for me is that the performances are so much better now than they were at the start of the season. There's organisation, there's defensive strategy and rigidity in there. The goalkeeper looks like he's picking up a bit of form. We've never struggled for goals, to be fair, all season. We've always looked like we're going to score. So it's been that leaking of goals that's been the issue. And now we seem to have plugged that gap. I'm quietly optimistic about the rest of the season. And for me, I'm happy to eat humble pie in this situation and say maybe we were a little bit hasty and maybe top 8 could see something we couldn't in Rodgers.
Tom, I'm going to carry on what Simon was saying there. Patrick saying breath of fresh air, seeing a keeper coming for crosses. Andrew saying Ward is growing in confidence. I know I've been critical of Ward, and I'll take that one on the chin, because when we make these videos, you can go back and watch it. So there's no hiding from it. I still don't think it was the right decision to give him the number 1 shirt and not bring a keeper in. But obviously, we're going to back all the players that are in there. I still would have said bring Iverson in there, but he has now had some clean sheets. Is confidence growing in Danny Ward, and what's your take on it?
Of course, his confidence is growing. Goalkeepers especially is a confidence thing, because at the end of the day, there's no making a mistake. If you make a mistake, the ball 9 times out of 10 is in the back of the net, as we found at the beginning of the season. If you made a mistake, the ball was in the net for Danny Ward. He wasn't having any look that it was going to hit the post. It was going straight in the net. You point out about the number 1 jersey shirt. Let's go back to the famous comments last season. I have 2 number 1 goalkeepers. Rodgers had already sown the seed that whatever happens, Danny Ward was his number 1. He could never take those words back, and he could never not give Danny Ward the number 1 shirt this season with Casper leaving, because if he hadn't, he would have had egg on his face completely. So there was no ifs or buts that Danny Ward was ever not going to be the number 1 this season and starting goal. Even though, we'd seen the performances for Daniel Iverson away in pre-season, or I thought looked really sure. Speaking to the Preston fans, they were raving about him and said, look, I know it's the Championship, but he is going to be a hell of a goalkeeper you've got on your hands there. Look, Danny Ward's starting to turn a corner. Someone mentioned it earlier about a goalie coming off his line. It is nice to see someone willing to come off and punch the balls. I think at the beginning, his confidence was very low and he didn't come off and do that. The Brentford game especially, I can remember, he wasn't coming out and really commanding the area the last few weeks since this new defensive coach come in. And maybe that is to deal with this set piece coach might really have been something that we have missed, that he's now putting Danny Ward in position to say, we'll make the room for you. We'll move players out of the way when we're defending corners and stuff and drag people out of the way. You've got to come and do your bit now. And we're seeing it. We really are. Look, I'm not going to get carried away for a few clean sheets against poor teams. He's got to do it against some of the better clubs. And West Ham and Everton, and for me, are now the games where he's got to prove it, because these teams are picking up points. And let's not lie, Bournemouth, West Ham tonight is a big game for both of those clubs, and especially the clubs below them.
I mean, Simon, I wanted to move it on in the last few minutes today. Jake says here, we've had a great few games and some clean sheets, which is great to see. They were against some really poor sides. Leeds and Wolves were poor. You can only beat what's in front of you. He says here, the test against West Ham and Everton will show us more if we're improved yet or not. 3 games. Forget the Newport game, Simon. 3 games left before Qatar World Cup. Man City on Saturday, Simon. Is that a bit of what they call a free hit? Because let's be honest, they're in great form on and off this season, Man City. We're all excited to see Haaland play. We don't want to see him score, but is it a free hit this Saturday? And are the 2 out the 3 games, is it the West Ham and Everton games really that we want to be taking some points from?
I don't think at the minute the opposition is massively important. Obviously, we know that Man City are the form team in the league. Haaland's an absolute animal up front. He just can't stop scoring. He just looks like he's a goal machine. And it almost looks a little bit like whoever managed to sign him was kind of sealing a very good chance of winning the league this season. And obviously Man City managed to get that signature. The guy is incredible. But let's take the positives from Leicester over the last few games. Yes, the opposition's been not the best in the league. Let's be honest. You know, their teams around us, you know, in that bottom six in the league. However, those performances over those last few games are massively improved on what we saw for the first few games of the season, where I think most of us thought that Rodgers' tenure was gone and any chance of him turning it around was lost. And he's managed, give him credit, to get that side believing in what he's saying. I agree with what Tom said earlier. That set piece coach has made a difference defensively, along with Fires coming in. I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. I mean, another thing that I didn't mention earlier that I'd like to just drop in as well is that I really like Tielemans as captain. I think Tielemans as captain, it adds something to his game. He likes to take the responsibility. He likes to be the man there in the middle with the armband on, encouraging the team. He's become a real talisman over the last couple of games for the whole side and the ethic that they play with. I don't think there's anything to be afraid of, and I think, given the performances over the last few games, I think we've got a right to be optimistic, at least, getting something out of the game, a point at least.
Yeah, Tom, I mean, listen, this is we've said this before. This effectively is the same side who's finished 5th and 8th for Leicester. Yes, Fofana's gone, but Wout Faes looks like he could be a similar type of ilk of player. Have we been a bit pessimistic? Or are we like swinging so far the other way now, thinking we could go and beat Man City on Saturday? Because that's the sort of mood I feel like now, that it's a free hit. Nobody expects us to win. We could, for me, we could easily pick up a draw on Saturday, and who knows what. Leicester.
I know Leicester, and it proved the game where Leicester go and beat Man City and then lose to Everton and West Ham away. It would be. Yeah. It'd be a Leicester way. I remember a few years ago, was it? We lost to Cardiff, and then we went to beat Chelsea at the Bridge, and then we beat Manchester City over Christmas. 2-1. Ricardo scored, I think, that day. So it would be typical little old Leicester to do the hard things, well, and go and beat Manchester City, and then go and lose 2 games where you're expecting to get 4 points from. If I'd be more than happy if we get 4 points out of West Ham and Everton and pick something up against Man City, but it would be, look, at the moment, confidence just starting to grow a bit. I've still not got that much confidence that we're going to do Manchester City, but like I said, on each given day, no game for me is a free hit. You go out there to try and win the football match or not lose it if possible, and why shouldn't Leicester go out and get a point? Like you said, this ain't the team what wasn't challenging last season or 2 seasons ago, and have still finished 8th last season. So look, it's always going to be difficult, and Manchester City knew where their weakness was. They needed a striker. Even though they won the league, they needed a striker. They went out and got the best striker in the world at the end of the day. Who knows? He doesn't need loads of chances. Give him one, he'll put the ball in the net. We saw against Wolves, we gave them 21 chances near enough. Not all great chances, but Diego Costa probably should have scored one. If you give someone like Haaland these chances, he will score on Saturday. That's the difference. So look, the whole little old Leicester, I love it because that's the way it will always be to me. Little old Leicester, because the big boys. Why can't we beat them? Simple as that. Why can't we do a job at the weekend? For me, it can happen.
Let's get some fans' comments in before I get the Simon and Tom to both give us their score predictions. Aggie says, just hope we don't show Manchester City too much respect. I think it'll suit our players, Aggie, because they can go out and they can just play with freedom and, have a good go at it. Andy says the players are going to have their Weetabix against Man City. We will have to turn up. Connor says we have a chance against City, as they have Dortmund twice either side of our games. Again, just play into our hands at the moment that we're look, we'd all rather be in Europe, but when we're not, you have more time to recover.
Just say, Phil, like one point I was going to say was, don't you feel that against the bigger clubs we get more space with the ball and more space in behind, because they don't just come and put 10 men behind the ball and try and stop Vardy running in. That there's a massive difference from teams like Southampton, Brentford, Palace. They come and set up shop because they know if they stop Vardy running behind, they're doing the job well. Manchester City and Pep Guardiola will not come and set up a defensive block to stop Vardy. They won't care about Jamie Vardy. We've seen it in previous games against Manchester City when he scored a hat-trick. They focused on trying to press us and make us mistakes. We went long and it worked. Same Saturday. Vardy will start. Dak will go on the bench. For me, that has already been probably put in place. That's why Dak has started at Wolves. And if Pep Guardiola comes and plays the football he likes to play, I think it's a bonus to Leicester because it will give more space for Vardy, Barnes to get in behind them. We saw how much trouble they've caused them over the years with the goals they've scored.
Yeah, Jordan says here, Simon, all the pressure is on Man City. Nobody really expects us to win, which means we can play with some freedom, which leads me nicely onto your score prediction, Simon. Where is it going to go this weekend?
I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be another clean sheet for us. I can't see that happening. They're going to cause us all sorts of trouble. And let's be honest, even in those games where we have kept clean sheets, we have been on the back foot here and there defensively, and we've managed to keep the ball out of the net by the skin of our teeth at times. I think I'll go for 2-2. I think they'll get 2, and I think we're good enough. We've never had problems scoring this season so far. That's one thing we've not struggled with, and I fancy a 2-2 draw. I'll take a point and on to the next one.
2-2 from Simon. Let us know in the comments what you think the score prediction is going to be and who's going to score the first goal. Tom, are you with Simon? 2-2 draw, or where do you see it going?
I think 1-1. I think we'll get a 1-1 draw. I think we'll score, and I think they'll score. It'll be one of those games. I think it'll be quite a few chances at both ends. But yeah, 1-1 draw for me. Take a point against the champions, and then hopefully I'll give that little bit more confidence going into Everton and West Ham.
So there, Simon's going for a 2-2. Tom's going for a 1-1. I'm going to finish off with some comments just before I let you two go. Let's get your score predictions in. Let me know. Richie's going for a draw as well. He goes 0-0 there. Kenny's saying Amartey will have Alfie Haaland in his pocket. Kenny, don't you giving me the shivers? Surely West Falk's going to mark him, not Daniel Amartey. Ross saying Sean's score will not be a prediction, it's a spoiler. 4-1 Man City. You lot can be optimistic, but that's the way it's going to be, unfortunately, says XXX. Clearly not a Leicester fan, but we'll put your comments up. I don't mind. Jeff saying 2-2, maybe a 2-3. Jeff can't make his mind up. Will is saying 1-0 to Leicester and Haaland misses a penalty. That'd be worth a cheeky pound on that if you think that would be right. Ross is going, I believe, 2-1 to Leicester, and Vardy will shithouse Haaland. Thanks for making me put that up there. I'm going for 3-1 City, says Chief Brody, all the way from Amityville. Not Amityville, Amity Island. There we go. I'll get there in the end. You'll know if you know. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Who knows with Leicester? It is just nice, Simon, to be here with a smile on our faces. Thank you so much for joining us again, Simon. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Good to be back. Thank you, Simon. Tom, as well as ever, thanks for coming on. We'll see you at Saturday down at the game.
See you Saturday, and remember to watch the preview show on Thursday night for the Manchester City game.
That's right, Tom. You've got an away fan on with you, haven't you?
Yes. Very excited to have this one.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tom.
Good.
All right. Thanks to Tom. Thanks to Simon. Been great to have them both on as ever. Let's get a few of your last comments in there. Darren says 7-0 to Man City. LCFC great, saying 4-2 to Man City. Andy's saying 3-1 to Man City, but I think we'll score first. Come on, guys, says Daniel. He's having a go at the people. We've had 2 solid results, but let's be realistic. Well, I guess this is where we'll see, isn't it, Daniel? We'll see how Leicester do. Super Foxes says 1-1, a draw, but Vardy's going to score. Scott, good evening, Scott, says, I think we'll go 1-0 up at half-time. I just can't see us holding on to it, unfortunately. Boyd on 1-3 to Leicester, says Stefan in there. Imran, thanks for your comments, says 1-1 in there. Bazza's a 2-1 to City. Bazza, I know what you're doing there. You're just hedging your bets because you're not saying which city in there. Chief Brody, yeah, of course I recognise where your name was from. Maz goes, come on, Leicester. Keith says, is it Noel or Liam? Absolutely lost me with the last comment of the game. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll see you next Monday. Obviously, I'll see you down at the King Power. If you're down there, come and find us out and give us your views before the match and after the match. We always like to hear from you. So do that. And this week, the podcast is already out there. So go and listen to that on SoundCloud or wherever you get it. It is on the website as well. There'll be a match preview later this week, and Tom is doing an away fan show, and Jamie, hopefully get well soon, we'll be back for the Foxes Arms proper aftermath show on Sunday at 10 a.m, his new winter time for starting. I'll see you all there. Come on, Leicester. It's nice to be happy. It's good to be a Leicester fan again.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. Make sure to follow us on all of our social channels at Leicester Fan TV. Visit our website, leicesterfantv.com.